Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into a whole stack of sources you sent over. It was a really packed week in the crypto market.
It absolutely was. Yeah, lots going on across the board. So our plan today is to unpack the key stuff from this material regulations, market shifts, some interesting corporate moves too.
Exactly. And the sources cover quite a range, don't they? We've got regulatory steps, market jitters from global stuff, investors maybe changing focus, and even some, well, ethical questions popping up.
It's a great snapshot of how fast this whole space moves.
So where should we start? Maybe the regulation piece. That seemed pretty prominent in the sources.
Yeah, definitely. There was some noticeable momentum, especially here in the U.S. this past week. Action in both the Senate and the House.
Right. I saw that the Senate moved forward with the Genius Act, targeting stablecoins specifically.
That's the one. And then over in the House, the Clarity Act got a big push.
Ah, yes, the one trying to sort out who does what between the SEC and the CFTC.
Exactly. And the sources pointed out it had strong bipartisan support. Yeah. Cleared committee like 47-6 or something.
Wow, yeah. That kind of, well, attempt at clarity is something the market's been waiting for, hasn't it? Trying to move past all the uncertainty.
Definitely signals a political will to build some kind of framework.
But, speaking of complexity for regulators, the sources also mentioned something else adding a layer to this whole policy discussion.
Uh-huh.
Concerns around President Trump's crypto activities.
Ah, right. Yes, the material did detail concerns raised by critics. Sources mentioned financial disclosures showing significant income from a crypto venture.
And there was mention of the Trumpy meme coin too, right? With speculation about its value.
Correct. And critics, figures like Senator Warren and Representative Raskin, were cited in the sources. They've publicly flagged potential ethical issues, conflicts of interest, essentially, given the ongoing regulatory talks.
It's important we just state what the sources reported here, the concerns that were raised.
Absolutely. We're just conveying what the material presented on that point.
Okay, so shifting from policy, the market itself. The sources said it took a bit of a tumble this week.
It did, yeah. Those geopolitical tensions between Israel and Iran, mainly, were cited as a key factor.
So that global instability really ripples through crypto.
It does. The sources noted about a 4% drop in the total market cap. Bitcoin dipped to around, $107,000 at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Shows how sensitive it is.
But here's something I found really interesting in the material. While Bitcoin saw some money flowing out of exchange-traded products, it seems like investors didn't just pull back entirely. There was a shift within crypto ETPs.
Yes, exactly. The sources detailed a really significant inflows into Ether-based ETPs.
Yeah.
Around $296 million, I think.
$296 million, that's quite a jump.
Yeah, it was their best week since late last year. And it directly contrasted with outflows from Bitcoin ETPs.
So it suggests maybe a strategic shift or just different investor sentiment focusing on Ether right now?
Could be. It's definitely more than just a simple reaction to macro events.
Okay, so besides the big market moves and the regulatory stuff, what about innovation? Did things slow down?
Not really, no. Coinbase made a pretty interesting consumer play.
Oh, the card with
Yeah,
American Express.
that's the one, the Coinbase One card, offering up to 4% back in Bitcoin on purchases.
That feels like a concrete step towards making crypto rewards part of just, everyday life.
Definitely a push for wider adoption, making
Yeah.
it practical.
And the sources also tracked other things, didn't they? Like token unlocks, Flare and Aptos were mentioned.
Yep, those always add potential volatility with more supply hitting the market. Plus, the usual regulatory delays, the SEC pushing back the decision on the VanEck Avalanche ETF.
Right. And there were institutional moves too, like SharpLink Gaming apparently buying a huge chunk of Ether.
Yeah, the figure reported was around $463 million in Ether. So you see this whole range, right? Consumer products, big institutional buys, market mechanics like unlocks, regulators proceeding cautiously.
It's a lot happening all at once.
It really is.
So if we try and pull it all together from the source material, what's the big picture for this week?
Well, we saw real legislative efforts on regulation in the U.S. The market reacted to global tensions, but also showed that internal shift towards Ether. Innovation kept pushing, like with the Coinbase card. And importantly, those ethical questions about potential conflicts of interest were being asked publicly.
So for you, trying to follow this space, all these things, rules, money flow, new tech, even ethics, they're all tangled up together.
Precisely. And it kind of raises a core question that seemed to bubble up from the sources.
Which is?
How does this push for structured regulation, like the Genius and Clarity Acts, how does that balance with the sheer speed of innovation in crypto? And at the same time, balanced with the potential for, significant personal or corporate interests influencing things.
That's a really key tension, isn't it? Shaping how this market might look going forward.
Absolutely. And as the sources often suggest, it's a fascinating space, but still very volatile. So, stay curious, but definitely stay cautious too.
Good advice. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into a very busy week in crypto based on the material you shared with us.